Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something so many of us experience. Parenting teenagers.
Yeah.
It can feel like, well, navigating a maze sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Mood swings,
Yeah.
peer pressure, school stress, all that digital stuff. It's a lot. So the big question we're tackling in this deep dive is, when teens face these challenges, where's the best place for support? Is it home, school, or, the wider community? Our source material, Guiding Teens, Home, School, and Community Support, really explores this. So our mission today is to unpack what each environment offers and figure out why maybe a balanced approach is the real key.
It really is a universal challenge, isn't it? Adolescence is just this time of, well, massive change, bodies, emotions, social worlds, everything. And parents, understandably, often feel kind of overwhelmed, like, where do I focus? Where can I make the biggest difference? What the source suggests, and I think what we'll find, is that there isn't one magic bullet. It's more about how these different areas work together.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting with what feels most natural, the home. Our source clearly points to home as like the main hub. It's where teens spend most of their time outside school. So what's its core role?
Well, the source really highlights the home as the bedrock for what psychologists call emotional security. It's not just having a roof over their head. It's about predictability, consistent responses, basically feeling safe enough to be themselves even when things are tough.
Predictability.
Yeah, and the source points to some interesting research, things like regular family meals, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. They're not just about eating. They create these low-pressure moments for talking, just checking in. And that consistent, informal chat helps teens learn to manage emotions, handle disagreements, communicate openly in a safe space. The research suggests this routine alone can cut down on future emotional issues by, well, maybe up to 25% compared to families without that regular connection. It's about trust built through just being there.
25%, that's significant. And I guess how that looks probably varies across cultures. Does the source touch on that?
Oh, absolutely. It brings in this really interesting cross-cultural perspective. Like, in some East Asian families, the idea of home discipline goes beyond just rules. It's tied into respect, harmony, and really open communication within that structure. And the research links that specific approach to different emotional outcomes, like a stronger sense of family duty, which builds resilience in its own way. It shows that while the need for security is universal, the way you build it can be quite different culturally.
Okay, so home provides this vital emotional foundation.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned earlier that relying only on home, well, it has limits.
Yeah.
Especially when the problem's coming from outside, right?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Exactly. Home can be powerful, but it can also be a bit of an echo chamber sometimes. Parents might be stressed themselves, maybe working long hours, or they might not actually have the information needed for a specific issue a team is facing. And the source points out if the main problem is something external, like bullying at school or intense social anxiety, just talking about it at home might make the teen feel even more isolated. Because the solution often needs action outside the home, and that's where school really comes into play.
Right, okay. This is where it gets really interesting. Because schools aren't just for academics. They seem to be this other key place for support. What kind of structured help do they offer teens beyond the lessons? And how do they help with, social skills?
Yeah, our source positions schools as having this really critical public health role almost. It's not just teachers. You've got counselors, psychologists, social workers, specific programs designed for adolescent development.
Like anti-bullying programs.
Yeah, exactly. Anti-bullying workshops, mental health awareness weeks, career counseling. These things directly address issues like low self-esteem or anxiety about the future, things that might not get tackled at home. And schools are also these unique social labs, aren't they? Teens have to interact with all sorts of different people every day, different backgrounds, views, personalities. That exposure is absolutely vital for learning those crucial social and emotional skills, SEL skills. Things like negotiation, empathy, handling disagreements, understanding group dynamics.
Things you might not explicitly learn at home.
Precisely. Our source really emphasizes skills like collaboration, conflict resolution. It's where they practice this stuff in a real, if structured, environment.
That difference between the academic side and the social-emotional side feels really important. The source mentioned a WHO statistic about school interventions being effective. What kind of interventions were they talking about?
Ah, yes, the WHO study. It's quite revealing. It wasn't just any program. It specifically found that interventions focused on socio-emotional learning, SEL, were the most effective.
Okay, so teaching skills like self-awareness, making good decisions.
Exactly. Relationship skills, responsible decision-making. The study suggested up to a 30% drop in risky behaviors like substance abuse. And it wasn't just because kids were told, don't do this. It was because they learned how to cope internally, how to handle pressure, make healthier choices. Plus, teachers see kids day in, day out. They often spot the early signs grades slipping, withdrawing socially, things that might point to mental health struggles before anyone at home notices.
That's a really valuable perspective they have. But schools obviously have their limits too. What are some of the challenges schools face in providing that kind of support consistently?
They definitely face challenges. Our source is realistic about this. Schools run on schedules, right? Support isn't 24/7. And the sheer number of students, especially in big urban schools, means truly personalized help can be tough to deliver.
Counselors must be stretched incredibly thin.
Often, yes. Caseloads can be huge, way beyond what's ideal. So while they're great at identifying issues and running broader programs, getting deep, ongoing, individualized support for every student with a complex need, well, that can be difficult. Some challenges just don't get fully addressed within the school walls, and that's where the community becomes so important, that third leg of the stool.
Okay, so home gives the emotional base, school gives structure and social learning. What does the wider community bring to the table that's different? What kind of spaces are we talking about?
This is where our source talks about safe experimentation zones, which I think is a great phrase. Think about places outside the direct pressure of home and school. Youth centers, sports teams, drama clubs, maybe volunteer groups or religious organizations. These are spots where teens can try out different parts of their identity, find new interests, build connections without constantly worrying about parental expectations or grades.
Lower stakes, maybe.
Exactly, a lower stakes environment to figure out who they are.
That makes a lot of sense. And the source brings up role models in the community too, doesn't it?
It does, and that ties into identity and getting ready for the real world. Community programs, particularly things like mentoring schemes, can be incredibly powerful. They connect teens with adults who aren't their parents or teachers, people who might have navigated similar challenges and can offer advice from a different, maybe more objective viewpoint.
An outside perspective.
Precisely. Without the family baggage or the school pressures, our source gives some good examples too, like in rural areas, just having community events helps fight isolation by building that sense of belonging. Or organizations like the YMCA, running programs that teach practical life skills, conflict resolution, managing money, healthy relationships, even civic stuff. These community settings give teens a taste of the real world, helping them become more independent in ways home and school sometimes can't replicate.
Okay, so community offers identity exploration, mentors, real-world skills. Sounds vital. But, like the others, it must have its downsides or challenges too.
For sure. The source points out several key things. A big one is just access. These resources aren't evenly spread out. If you're in low-income area, good youth programs might be scarce or underfunded or hard to get to. That creates a real gap.
Transportation could be an issue too.
Definitely. And then there's the quality control issue. If programs aren't well run, properly staffed, or thoughtfully designed, they might not help much. Or worse, they could even expose teens to negative influences. So while the potential is huge, the reality of community support can be pretty variable.
Right. So we've looked at home, school, community. Each has these unique strengths, but also real limitations. Our source seems to be saying the answer isn't picking one, but combining them.
Yeah.
How does that actually work?
That's the core message, really. The source emphasizes the synergy, how much stronger the support network becomes when these three areas work together. They kind of cover each other's weaknesses. Home offers the deep emotional connection, school provides the structure and broad social learning, and community brings diverse experiences and mentorship. When they're integrated, you get this really robust wraparound support system for the teen.
So it's about connection between them.
Yes. And practically speaking, that means parents talking with schools not just about grades, but building relationships with teachers, counselors. It means parents helping teens find and access community activities that fit their interests. Our source actually points to places like Finland, where these strong family-school community links are quite deliberate, and they see results in terms of teen well-being and resilience.
That makes sense. It's like building a team around the teenager. Can you give a quick example? How would this integrated approach tackle something common, like, say, smartphone overuse?
Oh, good one. Okay, smartphone overuse. At home, parents set the rules, have conversations about healthy limits, online safety, maybe model good habits themselves. Then at school, they might have digital literacy classes, discussions about social media's impact, cyberbullying prevention. They provide the educational piece, and the community. Well, it offers alternative sports, clubs, volunteering, maybe even workshops for parents and teens on managing digital life, or support groups if it's become a real issue. See how tackling it from all three angles is way more powerful than just, say, taking the phone away at home. It addresses the behavior, the knowledge gap, and provides positive alternatives.
Yeah, that paints a really clear picture. It's not about finding the one perfect place. It's about building this interconnected network, making sure all these different supportive spaces are talking to each other, working together. That way, teens get the full range of support they need during these really critical formative years. Look, parenting teens is definitely complex. It's a journey. But what we've unpacked today, drawing from our source, is that the best way through involves a real team effort, home, school, community working together intentionally. When that happens, teens don't just get through the challenges, they actually learn and grow from them, becoming more resilient, more self-aware, just better equipped for what comes next. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
And maybe this leaves you with a question to think about. In your own community right now, what's one small, tangible step you could take, maybe even this week, to help strengthen those connections between homes and schools, or schools and local groups, or families and community resources? It could be starting a conversation, sharing some information, checking out a local youth program. Because that ripple effect, strengthening that network, can make a huge difference for the teenagers in all our lives. It really empowers everyone.